Jan Brito is a real estate professional serving the DC metro area for over 20 years and the US Virgin Islands, where she specializes in helping clients navigate life's biggest housing transitions, from downsizing a longtime family home to managing estate sales and remote relocations. Jan is especially known for her work with senior clients and their families, guiding them through emotionally complex moves with patience, clarity, and compassion. Her full-service approach, deep local knowledge, and track record of exceptional results make her uniquely qualified to speak on exactly what we're covering today.
Well, so most of the time, as Alex mentioned previously, when you're looking for funds to get into a senior community, the funds typically come from the equity you have in your home for most people. There are exceptions, of course, but the majority of my clients pull from the equity in their homes. So the big question that comes to mind when you first think about selling your home is, should you renovate it or should you sell it as is? The issue with renovating is, don't assume that whatever you want to do is going to be what will appeal to today's buyers and that it will give you the return that you're looking for, because you might just be able to do some fresh paint, maybe a carpet replace, maybe painting some cabinets, but to do complete renovations of bathrooms or kitchens is quite costly, and you're not going to get a dollar for dollar return. That's what's important to know. So be smart about what you choose to do, and the best way to decide what to do is to engage a realtor early in the process that can give you that intel so you can make those decisions for yourself. There is the option, of course, to sell as is, which means you don't do anything to your home. In cases where there might be deferred maintenance in a property, that might be the best goal for you, because to start on any repairs might be just getting into too much spend. And I want to caution you about being approached by companies like Market Pro Home Buyers, or there's other names. You see the ads on TV and they're offering to pay cash for your house as is, quick close. Well, you're never going to get market value from those folks. And the number that they give you when they talk to you on the phone is based on tax record only, not condition, location, or anything like that. So when they actually get to your house, you're going to get a much lower offer, and it's never going to be market value. It appeals to folks who might be in a distressed situation, but still, contact a realtor and get a consultation before you make that decision, because you may very well be able to do a lot better than working with one of those investment type of outfits that gives you these, well, pay cash in 7 days. You know, it sounds attractive, but beware, I would say. And some of the quickest and easiest things you can do that make such a huge difference in how your home appears is a fresh paint job. I'll give you an example. I had a very dated home in Bethesda that needed new bathrooms and a new kitchen. Not all the appliances worked, and some were sort of hanging a little lopsided, but we painted everything. We staged it beautifully, took amazing photographs, and priced it for the condition of the home. Well, the market saw value in that, such that we ended up with 9 offers, and it sold, you're not going to believe this, $200,000 over the asking price from a little fresh paint. Unbelievable. So be very careful about what you're going to do to get your home ready to go on the market. Wanted to give everybody an update on the housing market. I mean, you hear news constantly about the real estate market, especially with what's happening, in our world right now. But most of the information that you hear on the news is national data, and real estate is local down to the zip code. And I will tell you that even though we have some movement in and out of our city with when the administration changes and things like that, the fact that there's going to be a lot of buyers and sellers in the market when there's an administration change is a complete old wives' tale. It's not true. Not everybody is going to be having to relocate to take these jobs in the administration. And a lot of the lawmakers that come into their terms rent here and then go back home when they can on their breaks. So our market in the DC metro area is more robust, I would say, than other places in the country. I've been licensed in this area now for 21 years, and I can see that that is true over that period of time. So just a little recap on 2025. I won't read all of these numbers to you, but you can see what we're showing here. The number of homes that sold decreased last year, even down from 2024. And that's because there have been fewer of them available for sale. You've heard the term inventory shortage. Well, that's used often in the real estate market when there are more buyers than there are homes to sell them. And we still have a bit of a shortage, and I'll go into more detail in a minute about that. But whenever there's a shortage, there's going to be competition among buyers, which is good for sellers, but not so good for buyers. Before I go to this, you can stay on this slide, but I just wanted to give you a little update on a national level. I follow closely Lawrence Yun, who is the economist for the National Association of Realtors, and his most recent report in January recorded record price increases in DC and Montgomery County. So prices are still going up. They're not going down, and there is still demand. As a matter of fact, the second half of 2025 mortgage applications were up. So buyers are actively getting out there and starting to think about purchasing. Sales are for this year are forecast on a national level again to be up by 14%. And then the important thing to note, some people have said, "Oh, is this a market that's going to crash like what happened in 2007 and 2008?" No, it's not. It's a completely different market. And what's driving that is historically low distressed sales. Distressed sales is what got us into trouble back in 07 and 08, where loans were easily given to folks that couldn't qualify for it, and then they defaulted. That's not happening now, and many people have nice equity in their properties, so we're not seeing that. In terms of the local market, I can tell you that at Compass, we have a market chat on Zoom every week with agents from our firm that talk about what they're seeing in the market. And it's been quite interesting so far this year. I can tell you that this is where we're going to go into what you're looking at on your slide now. The market's kind of split. We've got like the fast track and then the frozen. And what's moving right now are single family homes and townhomes. If you have a condo to sell, I'm sorry. I mean, it's building by building, of course. But in general, the condo market has slowed down a great deal in the DC metro area, and especially in DC proper. They're just not selling as quickly as other products, if you will. And the thing about buyers and what they're looking for, they're going to go to, let's see, what is this quote I have from one of our recent meetings? Buyers are ready to strike, but they're ruthlessly ignoring anything that misses the mark on price or condition. In this environment, your property is either the belle of the ball or the wallflower. There's no middle ground. So when I talked about deciding whether to sell as is or do what's going to give you a good return, even just a fresh coat, as simple as a fresh coat of paint, that could make you the belle of the ball. So it's really crucial to be strategic about what you choose to do when you're talking about making renovations to your home to get it ready to go on the market. Buyers are very picky. They know they're going to have to, in most cases, compete, and they have to put their best foot forward for offers, and often they're escalating way over the asking price, such as the example I gave you in Bethesda. So they want the belle of the ball. They're not going to settle for anything less. They want move-in ready. Buying trends are, there's been a surge in townhouse and row house purchases. A row house is the same thing as a townhouse, but that's what they're called in DC proper. In the suburbs, they call them townhomes. We're seeing a lot of activity in that area because a lot of buyers cannot afford the single family homes in our area. I mentioned prices increasing constantly, and that's a problem for a lot of folks. But townhouses are still doing pretty well. And then there's a magic price range where we see a ton of competition, and that's for single family homes. That's in the $800,000 to $1.2 million price range, and we still see it at higher price points, but it's really heavy in that range. So buyers are going to be competing, and sellers, you can expect interest in your home if it's presented properly, and you should have really good results. And then in terms of the suburban connection, folks want to be as close to metros as they can for commuting. A lot of people have had to go back to work instead of working from home, but having office space in the home is still very important for folks. So let's talk about retirement communities. These are not your grandfather's retirement communities anymore. I mean, it's like summer camp for adults in most cases. And they're building beautiful places. So let's just go down the range of options. CCRCs CCRC means continuing care retirement community. That's the full spectrum of care, starting with independent living and going through all the levels through to memory care. CCRCs are also known as life plan communities. That's the newest term for them, but they're synonymous. Just know that. I don't know many that have a purchase option. They are primarily rental options where you pay an entry fee. It can be called a buy-in fee, but it's not literally a buy-in, it's an entry fee. Some of them you can purchase. For instance, there's Maplewood Park Place in Bethesda that is a condominium CCRC, and you can purchase there. But most of them are rental models, and the entry fees vary. Some of you probably have gotten email or postcards or seen ads on TV for the new Grandview in Bethesda. It's an Erickson Living community that just opened their first building. I've moved many families in there, and their entry fee is quite high, in some cases 7 figures, depending on the size of your unit. But again, people are using the equity in their homes that they've owned for a really long time to get them in there. And what's convenient is that at settlement, we can just wire their proceeds directly to the Grandview and make it very easy. There are others that have lower entry fees, but their monthly fees are higher. And when you go into communities like this, there's so much included with your monthly fee. It's going to sound like a scary high figure, but when you think about the fact that it includes your meals, your housekeeping, your laundry in some cases, every kind of club for any interest you can imagine. In fact, many of them, while you're waiting on a waiting list to get in, or maybe you're waiting for one to get built, like the Grandview, they started having club meetings before they ever broke ground. So people on the priority list could start getting to know each other. And so now they've started moving in as of January, and people already know each other. All these clubs are happening, and people are having happy hour together and just having a good old time. As a matter of fact, I went to the Grandview recently to have dinner with some clients who had moved in. And of course, while I was there in the dining room, I saw all my other clients. So it was like a reunion. And everybody was talking about how they feel like they're on vacation and it's so much fun. I mean, the move is stressful, of course, but once you get through that and you get moved in, it's like, this is what you've saved and worked your whole life for, to enjoy. So even though you may not be purchasing it and building equity, you've spent your life doing that. Now it's time to relax and enjoy what you've earned, you know? And the beauty of the rental model is that if it's not for you, you can go somewhere else. And you can get, in many cases, a very significant refund of what you've already paid in. Now, for independent living, you are going to have to qualify. So you may have to undergo a health assessment by the staff at the community to confirm that you're able to live independently. If not, there's assisted living. Now, there are specific assisted living communities that don't have any independence, so there's a lot of choices there as well. And then skilled nursing and memory care is pretty self-explanatory. While we're on this slide, though, I want to talk about a few other options for older adults looking for moves. There are things called NORCs, N-O-R-C, naturally occurring retirement communities. These are geographic areas or buildings within a neighborhood that attracts an older demographic. And so they are build their own clubs and their own networks and socialize together and so forth. One of them is Friendship Heights and Chevy Chase. There's a lot of condo buildings and rental buildings there. Another one is the Promenade on Poops Hill Road in Bethesda. They don't have any health care. They don't have any, official activities director, but it's a community that attracts that older demographic. And if you're not quite ready for a senior community and you want to bridge the gap, that might be an option for you. Another option is villages. Many of you have heard about the village movement that's gone across the country. And in Montgomery County, we have at least 30 alone, and there's more forming every day. There's many in DC as well. Villages are homes, apartments, townhouses, whatever style of housing there is in a neighborhood, but it's defined by a geographic area, and it's run by a staff. Some have entry fees or membership fees, but they're very nominal. And they organize events for the community. They arrange for rides to the doctor, to the grocery store, medical note-taking, tech support. And the community, the volunteers can be from within the community or people like me who have signed up to volunteer just because that's what they like to do. And it can ease the aging in place process for you if you need help with certain things or mobility or whatever. It's a way to stay in your home a little bit longer. And I want to talk about 55 and over communities because Alex did bring that up, but sadly we have a severe shortage of them in our area. They don't provide any medical care. You have to be 55 to get in there, but they're usually beautiful homes with lots of amenities and clubs and fun activities and golf courses. But we have Leisure World in Silver Spring, and we have their sister community in Loudoun County. There's a small community up near Clarksburg, but we really have a shortage of them. There's a lot of them in Arizona and Florida and the warm climates where people retire, but not here, unfortunately. So that's why it's, a good thing to think about NORCs or the villages if you have a desire to age in place. Alex had also mentioned the cost of modifying your home to age in place. That's something that can certainly be looked at if that's what you desire. But the aging in place modifications that you make could impact the sale of your home when the time comes. So you have to weigh the cost and the benefit and what you would have to do when you do finally need to sell your house. Now, there are also placement services that will help give you ideas on communities that you might want to look at. And I do want to talk about this because everybody's heard of A Place for Mom, right? If you've ever signed up for them, you can't get off their mailing list. And there's other placement services around the country and here locally. I caution you about placement services that only give you the names of communities where they get a referral fee from.
Yeah.
Because you want to be working with someone at a placement service that has your best interests at heart and not directing you to a particular community because they get money for doing it. Sure, they have to get paid, but you want to know all your options. And so I am going to go ahead and plug a local company if it's okay, Alex.
Absolutely,
Silver Bridges
Jan.
Consulting.
Mhm.
Silver Bridges Consulting started a few years ago with Ginger Noche and Christy. I'm drawing a blank on Christy's last name, but anyway, they are sort of a
Kennedy. Her last
yeah,
name
yeah.
is Kennedy.
Sort of a concierge placement service where they have a flat fee, but they will sit with you and talk about your needs and get, if you want to involve your adult children, they'll be involved in the conversation as well. And they'll figure out what it is you're looking for, and then they'll do their research based on what they know and recommend 3 or 4 communities for you to choose from that they think are a good fit for you. Plus, before they take you to these communities, and they will go with you to tour and to speak with the sales staff and help negotiate for you. But before they even do that, they're going to check the history. They're going to check the health records. Have there been any incidents that you need to know about? And the people that they gather for you to meet with there, it's not just the sales staff. They'll get the executive director, the head of nursing, the chef. So you get a really good picture of what that community is about, so you can decide for yourself if it's right for you. The other thing I want to bring up is some of these communities, specifically Grandview and Bethesda, will offer folks that are moving in a promissory note, meaning you want to move in before you sell your house because it's easier for us, the professionals, to prep it in its best light for the market. And you don't want to be bothered with showings and keeping your house show ready constantly. So it's ideal if you can move out first. And therefore you won't have the money until you sell your house, right? But they'll let you go ahead and move in and sign a promissory note that's typically interest-free for the first 60 to 90 days, and then you pay it off and you're done. I am happy to say, knock on wood, so far, every single person that I've moved into the Grandview has sold their home within a week of it going on the market. So they paid their promissory note off promptly and everybody was happy. So that's a good option if you're wondering about how to move first and pay your community later. I do want to quickly talk about this Downsizers Club, if that's okay.
Please. Oh, please.
Yeah, I've been doing this for about 3 years. It's a free club, and it's kind of like a support group, but it's more fun than that. So don't let that scare you off. I think I have a couple members of the club on this call, actually. So we meet the first Friday of every month on Zoom at 11 to 12. And we share resources, we share challenges, successes. I provide a lot of information that, the members share amongst each other. And the next one is this Friday. And if anybody is interested in checking us out, please go to capitalseniorsolutions.com on the seminars page, and you'll see registration links for each month's club. You do have to register each time, but it's free, and I think people have found it very, very beneficial, and I love doing it. So anybody that's interested, I'd love to see you there.